What in the Netflix cliffhanger is going on?
It is free, Shamal. It is absolutely 100% free. Come back next week. Thank you. Until then, go to pay for a subscription. God damn it. What the fuck? I got a year to sustain. Anyway, it's fine. We can share it.
I'll be quick about this one.
No, it's fine. That's why I'm up on these stories. They can't. I don't want them to be rushed. It's the lovely stories. However,
all right, no, I won't bother. Then,
hang on. So yeah,
how different cultures have dictated it. I'll go back to the one about the black people then. Have you ever felt the unmistakable sense that something intelligent was trying to communicate with you? If contact is real, who or what is actually reaching back? Could different cultures simply be describing the same phenomenon through different languages? If this interests you, then today's episode's going to be spot on. Let's go. Hello and welcome to AwakenToJoy. I am Shem and Omondi. You can call me Shem, artist, author, and intuitive guide. And with me, as always, is...
Je suis Omondi. Bonjour tout le monde. Auteur, artist, and very interested in consciousness and nature of this reality.
Okay, let's go. I love this subject because of how much this has been an experience that I've been going through from very, very young, that both of us have been going through from very young. And as people have been coming forward and being able to talk about it more openly, we thought, in the spirit of coming forward and having a space where people can start speaking openly about their experiences, let's go for it. You know, we have many different episodes that we've covered about contact, but now we are kind of getting into the nooks and crannies of it, because I think for a lot of people who feel like they haven't or feel like they have, but it's not exactly the same, I think to explore the different ways that could be had would be of interest to people.
Yeah, I think, you know what, in regards to contact, we often think about, you know, being in contact physically. And that's fine. Like, I mean, you know, many of us, you know, experienced this type of contact, but there's also through meditation, out-of-body experience, dream state, lucid dreaming. These are all state of consciousness in which you can make contact. And sometimes you don't really make contact. Sometimes it just happened. And I kind of always wonder, like, why now? Like, you know, what for a long time I was like, what is the I guess you say determinant factor, right?
Yeah, determining factor, yeah.
That say, okay, this is the time for contact. Is it a soul contract? Is it something to see with your frequency, being the right frequency? Maybe both. Maybe you knew that at that particular time in your life you'll be ready for it. So therefore you know, it was all a preparation for you to be the matching frequency. Because I know, like, some of these being or different, I guess, beings, I was going to say entities, but it's not exactly that. But the different beings, let's say, they've got a particular frequency, and and in order to communicate with them, it cannot be any frequency. And I don't think it has something to see with being of a high frequency or low frequency. I think it's just matching frequencies. What do you think of that?
A lot of the time, I feel like we were told that you have to be prepared. Like, there's a preparedness that goes along with all of this. There is this moment where you can, and then there's this moment where you can't. There's this time where it's acceptable, and this time where if you're not ready, you'll break yourself. And when I think about that, I think about being young and being at a babysitter's house and wanting to call your parents or wanting to call your guardians and being told that you can't have contact and being given some arbitrary explanation as to why you can't.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
And that was an unshakable feeling the whole way of me growing up. So it was like, I don't believe that to be, it doesn't feel true why I wouldn't be able to be in direct contact with my parent, my home, or anything that I felt like I needed to be in contact with.
Well, I think
And I think that's why when I was in Sunday school, I'd question like, why do I have to go through this person or that person to talk to God? Or like, I felt that way, and I feel the same way about contact. Like, you're saying that this is our cosmic family, our lineage. Why I got to wait? Why I got to go through X, Y's, and Z's? I feel like it's more hoops to jump through. But when I alleviated those hoops, I realized how much times they were attempting to make contact with me or had made contact, and I wasn't reading it as such.
no, I understand. I mean, I pose a question for the sake of maybe people relating to the subject, but I see it differently anyway.
Yeah.
My version is it's simple but it's complex at the same time. So on one side, I feel that it's not even feel. I know that the type of contact it can be due to the frequency of this being has been overwhelming for some of us. So you might not get contact physically as a result, but more during the dream state because this is more appropriate. As we know, your frequency while you dream doesn't necessarily match the frequency you hold throughout this life.
Yeah.
During the day, right? So, and I'm not just going to say dream, I'm talking about out of body experience or whatnot.
Yeah.
So it might make it easier to be contacted in that way. So it could be also for physical limitation, but it could also be for what's suitable for you right now. So I think there is that layer as far as, okay, it's more suitable for you to be contacted by these particular beings through the REM state because you can hold the frequency better.
Yeah.
And it might not be as overwhelming. And many reported having physical contact, but being so overwhelmed, I felt like they're going to pass out anyway. So I can see why that would take place.
Yeah.
But then also, I think there is an agreement as well. I always had the longing for someone else than being here. And my upbringing, what happened throughout my life, has shown me from the start, I can't be too attached to what's going on growing up, my so-called original family or blood-related family or not, because obviously it didn't really happen for me in that way. What people would call normal. So from the start, I had an understanding that there is more than this, right? And obviously you're referring to you galactic lineage or cosmic lineage where you are related from a soul perspective to other beings is in this construct. So I can relate to what you say, the idea that someone says, well, Eddie, it's only a few or the chosen one or whatnot, although you presented a different perspective of the idea of being the chosen one.
You want to hear the perspective?
Yeah, you can say it again. And I think it was actually made more sense, let's say.
Well, there were lots of things as I grew up that made me realize that this chosen one situation, why it never resonated with me. It never resonated with me because I was never told in any way that I was special. In fact, I was told the opposite. And I was told all of the abilities that I had were not abilities at all, were actually disabilities, were actually me not being able to handle real life, not me having the ability to handle life. So you're oversensitive. You feel too much. You're doing too much. You are too much. Everything is overreaction rather than you being in total tapped into your field. All right.
Yeah.
So then the idea with spirituality came in around the Chosen One. And every time I heard someone speaking about it, I would cringe, I would coil, I would have this repelling about it. And I guess in some ways that part of me, the people pleaser in me, would be triggered, literally glitching to hear it.
I see what I
Not
mean.
because it was untrue to me, but because of the way it was posed. And this is why sometimes when things are a little bit hard to hear, or you feel triggered, if you want, you could take it as an opportunity to look closer at something within yourself and be like, what in me is being triggered by this?
Yeah.
Rather than, I hate that, goodbye. And then triggering also can confuse your discernment, because you can confuse being triggered by being alerted by something that may not be in alignment with you, not as an opportunity to see, where is this not aligning with me? So it's like, even if you're triggered, be intrigued,
Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
because what you see on the other side of that might not be something that's actually bad for you, might be something that's more freeing for you. Long-winded way to say, when I went and asked I asked my guides, what's this thing about the Chosen One that's not sitting right in my heart? And they were like, the Chosen Ones are not people who were chosen by the divine and singled out as special and favorite. You're all special. You're all favorite. These things are not. You are part of the divine, so you cannot. There's nothing that the unconditional love would not love about itself. So therefore, there is no favorite. There is no you and then not you.
So what
There will be no souls left behind, because that would be the divine deciding to leave part of itself, which is unconditional, behind, and it wouldn't do that in its unconditionality.
So what constitute
A chosen
being
one,
a chosen one, being a chosen one?
one who chose
Yeah, makes sense, doesn't it?
in their full sovereignty and power and remembrance, one who chose to be here,
Then you
one who chose.
you would need to be in alignment with the idea that you choose to come here, to have the life you have, to have a particular time where you're going to decide or not, because you still have free will to make contact with this being through different state of consciousness, whether it's you here having physical contact or not. Although from that perspective, from the avatar perspective, being in your body now, sometimes things can feel like you haven't chosen now. It's just happened. Like certain story you hear when people have had contact, physical contact, got frightened, or the frequency that is being had at the time was extremely overwhelming, and they, as a result, trying to share their story, but that resulted in them losing their family or being kind of labeled as being crazy or things like that, right?
And a multitude of
And a
other
multitude
things.
of things. I mean, my contact, physically speaking, is, I remember when I was I think I was 3 years old, around this age, and I remember being tickled in my bed and seeing these fingers, that hand, but like it's like they were using the fabric of my bed to make actual contacts, and they were tickling me as a kid, and I can see it was a bit rough, because it's like when an adult particularly little kids, it can feel rough sometimes, right?
Yeah, if they're not gentle
And it was a
enough.
bit rough, but I got scared because I didn't know what was going on at the time, so I jumped out of my bed. So, but now looking back, I knew it was one of the first contacts I had, and then I had a time where I'd have zero memories. I hardly remember anything between the age of 3 and 6 years old, I would say. Then 7 years old, 8 years old, things are coming. And I know a lot of people will say, yeah, that's normal because memory only form at that age. And I'm like,
Explaining it away.
I explain it away. And I'm like, no, because I remember specifically that time. And I was 3 years old. I like remember it.
Yeah.
So no, absolutely no.
Yeah.
So yeah, so there's obviously, I think I had several contacts. They probably saw I was fighting. So they decided, well, let's maybe wipe his memory a little so he doesn't get frightened every time there's sort of thing going on. Because I realized I always wonder, like, why do I remember shit between this age and this age? Nothing, like hardly anything, few things, but hardly nothing. Like,
yeah,
it's just like, but I'm just saying, so thing can be traumatic in a sense. And as a kid, if that happened as a kid, you grow out of it and you just, you know, put it under the fact that, well, you were a kid, it's kiddos experiences, right? And then you move on, right? She never take into consideration. But I know some people had contact older and they remembered it and the experience wasn't so nice. So I do think that there's a choosing time depending on your beliefs, whatever you think is good or bad or what, no, where you can choose to have contact with these designated beings chosen by you. And I think that,
or your family, or both of you,
or both of you, yeah. So I think it's this understanding often that is difficult to get your head around it, because now I hear a lot of people want to have contact through out of body experience with beings, and they're like, why can't I see my guides? And one of my first conscious 100% out of body experience, I mean, I was in contact with some people, let's say, beings, I guess, but not in the way of they came just for me. I was shown things, and the only contact I had, it was a voice that said, I love you. And that was it, as I came out of my body. But I didn't have necessarily contact, and I wasn't against contact. It's just that didn't happen for me like that. You know, where it specifically says a being, and it happened to be someone that's supposed to guide me, or supposed to.
Well, this is the thing as well. The assumption that they're there to guide you, not the assumption that this is a visit from a peer, a family member, somebody who knew you or knows of you, somebody who you are equal to.
Yeah.
It's just this immediate relinquishing of your sovereignty, and to hear everything they have to say and take it that it's something that's going to be useful. It must be useful.
Yeah.
You can trust that the contact would be useful just for the sake of serendipity, just for the sake of being intrigued, that childlike intrigued of what the unfolding is of your life.
Yeah.
But you still need your discernment about you.
Do you think you choose right every step of the way? Or because it feels like you don't, it can feel like you don't know. It's just like, but choosing in the sense that before you came here, these events, there was these potentials, and you were like, okay, I'm choosing these different potentials, and I want to come, and when the time comes, I will be saying yeah or nay, or be prepared or not prepared, but I see then, and I make a final decision then.
Because you can choose in the moment, regardless of your choice back then.
Right.
I decide both is real for myself.
Mm-hmm.
Even if I chose it back then, how many times have I chosen something and then changed my mind?
True. But you know what? I think there's this assumption that the soul doesn't make mistakes, but the human aspect of it is under heavy distortion, duality. So therefore, certain decision may not be the most aligned decision.
We can definitely make decisions that aren't aligned, but still unfold to the perfect timing of the universe.
Yeah.
Like, I always like to say, no one tells a story like God. Like, no one can do an unfolding plot twist,
Suspense, yeah.
Like God, like the
What do you say,
universal math
cliffhanger?
of it all, the cliffhanger, the
And it feels like this, right?
juicy drama. Like,
if you have contact during an OBE, OBE, and I'm going to say for the one who don't know, out of body experience, or
dream state,
or dream state, or
or
lucid
meditation,
but a contact, let's say, where you are very conscious, right? And I mean, you have this contact, you experience whatever you experience, or you feel, you need to experience at the time, or you choose to experience, and then all of a sudden you lose consciousness and you come back to your body, and you're like, oh, they were about to tell me something. And you couldn't. So I was trying to stay, but I don't know, I just got
all
pulled
right
back.
Let's put some structure to this then.
So
we've got past the part where you were a kid and you could have some contacts, which has happened to a lot of people.
Yes.
We've seen it in the comment section, guys. Like, a lot of you have been having contacts since childhood, whether that be through your dream, lucid dreaming, physical contact, or whether they've just been what people call an imaginary friend, all of those things. And then there's, as you get older, seeing signs, or you may have gone and had an experience, an out-of-body experience, a dream, a lucid dream, a daydream, or just a happening. I mean, I know some people who've gone to places where there's meridian lines or portals, and then they've had that activation and they've had contact through there. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or maybe they've gone and done some plant medicine rituals, and then they've been able to get contact through that. So there's many diverse ways that we choose to have contact, make contact, or experience contact, right? But whichever way that is, how have you found bringing back, using your discernment to determine what of that is intelligent, or what of that is of use to you or your life?
The thing is, I think one of the first things I've noticed is the assumption that they want to communicate with us, and it's like a one-way street. The idea, when you hear, I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But I think there's been agreement that are set already, and these events take place anyhow when ready, right?
Yeah.
But in terms of the idea of intelligence, and what's intelligence is what you ask, yeah, about the how do you know?
How do you use your discernment to say that's of use to me, or that's I don't.
Okay, I can tell you how.
Yeah.
Then, for me, everything is of use, because let's say if I'm so-called making mistakes, which is so scared of making mistakes, it's unreal. I make a mistake, I'm in contact with the wrong people. Well, guess what? This only helped me sharpen my discernment, because now I have a blueprint of what not to do. So I neglect nothing in terms of that, and I don't try to always get it right, because I'm not here for that. Because everything, by definition, if everything is supposed to happen, if you're in that alignment, then everything is right. Even the wrong things become right. It was the right timing to do something wrong, right?
Do you know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of my with my most recent contact with reptilians. That's what it reminds me of.
Yeah, I mean, for you, I actually wanted to talk about some of the contacts you had, and how they took place. Actually, it's quite it's very interesting.
Well, I don't want to recover the ones we've already covered on different episodes.
So no, we don't have to recover. But my question will be for you, because the whole point of this episode right now, it's to, who do you meet there? Like, really, when you are you supposed to meet these people or no? If something happened, is okay, because like we say, some people had this physical contact and it was a terrible experience for them. But they're supposed to have it. That's the big question. Or they were supposed to have it, but because they were set in certain state of mind, let's say, or ideas, and that led for them to have a bad experience.
Well,
it's like
people talk about grace. Yeah. And I'd never resonated with the whole grace thing. It's not that I was against it, I just wasn't interested, right?
Yeah, me neither. I wasn't.
I was like, okay. It wasn't that I hated it or liked it. I was neutral about it. I was like, okay. And obviously I told my story about that, but they were small and they were nothing like what people were saying. And they weren't actually grey. These were kind of blue. They were a color that can only be explained if you've had enough out of body experiences and you've seen that the spectrum of color that we see here is not the spectrum of color that you experience with a higher availability to the spectrum of light, right?
Yeah, of course.
So they were a type of what we would call blue-gray, translucently, purpley, iridescent. That's as close as I can
And let
get.
me ask you, that was during an OBE, right? Out of body experience.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I didn't call for them to come in or anything. I was just having another OBE. And this time I wanted to play a game with the numbers with you, just to sharpen my tool, really, just to be like, okay, you put a number downstairs and then I'll have the OBE and then I will go downstairs and I will read that number.
I remember.
And then the next morning as I wake, I'll tell you what that number is. And then it will be like just a confirmation more for you. Like, just like, be like, yeah.
I remember that experience. I remember that. Yeah, I remember that story. Yeah.
So it's that. So I was minding my own business on that one. So even when I came into contact with them, it wasn't like that. And I had a good time. And for the most part, they were nice. They were peaceful. I had a really peaceful state. I felt good when I woke up. I didn't have any like bad headache, or I felt like I wasn't energized. I wasn't zapped in any way. Their frequency was very musical for me. The only thing I would say is they were in a rush, and when I asked for their help with the number thing, they kind of just like fobbed me off. It was only one of them, and they were for me. I was like, "You're feisty."
But let me get this right: they were grayish blue in appearance, but they were not grays.
I wouldn't know. I didn't ask them, "What are you?" I wasn't on that. It was like I go by vibe.
Yeah.
It's like when you meet somebody, I don't ask you. If I'm vibing with you, I'm vibing with you. I don't need to know your racial background.
Yeah.
For me to then what? Like, that's literally, so it wasn't a thing because it wasn't a thing. But then I've had other contacts now with beings that aren't really what people would call physical. They were more, they didn't have a physical, it was very etheric. It was very of the ether. It was very, they would have a face that would appear and then disappear as soon as it appears. But then they would speak and communicate with me through shapes. And as they would send me a shape, like a shape would be overlaid. And I went to a place where I was just my consciousness. I didn't have form. Yeah, so I appeared to them as they appeared to me. It was just like shapes. And that's how we communicated, via shapes, via what people would call sacred geometry, those types of shapes. Yeah. And even though we learn sacred geometry here, there are some that are so intricate I cannot bring back. Like I can't even begin to explain them. I just know that the frequency was extremely blissful, extremely loving, but not love as we know it here, an unconditional state of it, where it's like, that doesn't matter. There's no arrogance about anything or trying to overcome or who's in charge or anything like that. It was just for the pure frequency of, it was a pink frequency though. And it was every shade of pink you could imagine.
Yeah.
And that was for grief. That was to alleviate grief from my energy field. That was to alleviate grief from my biofield. Like, just alleviate it from me.
So then the way you tell the story and the details you actually giving us right now get me thinking that to answer the question of what we do in this episode, it often is based on what you need at a particular time.
Yeah.
Specifically, if you are in alignment, not necessarily in a needy place, I would say, or desperations, but you're open for contact and you're open to improve your life or be as aligned as possible, then this thing shows up in order to help you transmute certain situations or understand.
Yeah. And I just walked in the power that, look, everything's the universe always serves me. Yeah. The universe always wants my highest good.
So yes, so the frame of mind in which you operate.
So even if something's happening and I feel like, oh, this is bad, I'm like, what is this showing me? If this is happening in front of me and I'm witnessing this, what is it that I'm prepared to see? Because even if you take the biblical side of it, God doesn't give you anything you can't handle. Do you believe that, or do you whine and complain when things of what that you don't prefer are happening to you? Or you're like, okay, that means I can. If this is bullshit right now, it means I can handle it.
I mean, obviously, you didn't tell everyone your story on
but the
channels.
Reptilian one.
No, it's not that. I mean, you have many instances I'm thinking of that you shared with me personally.
Yeah.
As I shared mine with you. And it got me thinking all the different reasons why you had them. And as you explain it now, I can see why you being in alignment with the idea that God only going, or source only going to give me, or I will as a soul, because I am source, only give something that I can handle. There's nothing I can handle. I will not put myself in that situation. It's so important. And take away these judgments and beliefs, because, for instance, the Greys, they don't have a good reputation. They're not all the same. Some I've seen as being malevolent or benevolent. There's everything the same way humans are. Give me a second. White was just gleaming in my eyes. Omondi? Yeah, that's what I meant. Sweet. Oh, good off. Cheers. Thanks.
Lovely. Yeah. Northerner black people.
Absolutely.
We just crack on, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I'm saying is, they don't have great reputation, for a different reason. Historically, some of the deals they made with governments and institutions, whatever. Now, I'm not going to enter into details of these things. All I'm saying is, if you are in judgment, like you said, this being that could be grace or look like they are grace, you may have never been able to have that experience out of the fear that these people are bad.
This is how
being all bad.
I understand what you're saying.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. I get it. Because I never assumed that contact would mean it would have to be intelligent. Intelligence has always been a spectrum to me. I've spoken to one person and they've been super book smart when it comes to natural history. Ask them anything about plants, they know. Ask them about computers, they don't know nothing. And
it's then like smartphone,
right?
I know computers, but smartphone.
And then it's like, and then there's other people. It's like, ask them anything about fashion, they know every single thing. Ask them about bus routes, not a thing. So for me, it's always been a spectrum, because intelligence is. And if that is true here and we are a reflection of source, then that would mean that the spectrum would be scattered across all of existence. So when I'm think about contact, I think that there's going to be a certain frequency of intelligence that this being or anything, any being that I meet is going to have for me. But the idea that they're going to bestow everything upon me, maybe not.
No, yeah.
So that's because that's my inner knowing has let me know that.
Well, I've realized that it is important not to be in judgment or have preconceived ideas about things, simply because it will prevent you from even making contact, or even if you do make contact, to get the full experience. Because I remember this one of the being that I've met. It was a lucid dream, and he was standing next to me, and honestly, he looked like a vampire. What you would say, like very pale skin, and if I had judgment, then I would have been probably frightened, and then not. I wouldn't have taken time to really observe what was taking place, and I couldn't be like, oh, it's Nordic because he had a pale skin. It was very tall. It wasn't Nordic because he's not blonde. He doesn't have blonde hair. So I could have been my judgment and say Nordics or blonde. So that's not the case, and then
there's this enhancement as well, that what's beautiful here is if you live here consciously or aware enough, then you'd be aware that not everyone from every race is the same.
No, exactly.
So and if you're going to do that we're going to meet beings and we're going to be the same.
Right. And
like, it's a grey. All of them are.
Oh, exactly.
Are we going to do that again? Because I think we played that story out. So whenever I go to contact, that's another thing. If I make contact with beings, I don't care what backstory I heard about them. I've heard it. I'm aware of it. But I don't move forward in that judgment because everybody has an agenda.
Well, exactly. And even Nordics doesn't mean they're all blonde either. So there's so many different preconceived ideas just based off the earlier contacts some of the civilization or people been having. They tell the story, but you have to take it with a pinch of salt because that is their story. And
it's more so than that. They didn't say they met everybody in that race.
That's my point.
Or species. So, they said they met a few of them. When has seeing a few of any one thing been the gold standard for all of the things?
Exactly. And when I saw that being, it was like, oh, you're very pale, and you're tall, but you're pale as hell. Like I was like, so if I was in my bag of fear, then I would be. It could not be Nordic. He's not blonde. That must be a vampire. Oh my gosh, he's a vampire. I need to run. Like whatever scenario you have in your head, it will play out. So, but I didn't, because I don't care. Like I'm not phased about it. I'm just like, okay, let me see.
And I say all of this to say, then there's been times where I've been phased.
It can happen, yeah.
Oh yeah.
But why then?
There's been energies where like I say, my spirit didn't take the energy. I was like, I don't want nothing to do with you. You're not coming correct.
But then it's the same way someone would.
Like the same way I'd feel it on a human.
Yeah, exactly. So they may not be the bad, but it's just like maybe courtesy, and you're like,
no, it was just like, I'm not feeling your vibe. Goodbye. Like it wasn't even I saw you and I said, oh my gosh, look at that thing. It was more, oh, nah.
Do you know what's funny? Because
nah, I feel it in my system. Nah. And I just, it was like a no. It was a no.
My point is, that's my point. Even this doesn't mean they're malevolent, because I remember having this experience.
Exactly. It doesn't mean that, but I just knew that my discernment said no. So I was like, no.
Yeah, because I remember this experience where that big, tall lady just was tripping me up. Like, just, that's how you say, tripping somebody.
Yeah.
I was like, what's going on? And do you want me to follow? What do you want? And looking at me like, just it was more like trying to get my attention. But I was like, yeah, but for what? If you ain't saying, I'm not staying. And and you know, but I didn't feel that person was bad. I just was like, that's not how I approach people. So a lot of the way you are in your life also would determine what type of experiences you are. And looking back, it looks like she was trying to get my attention for something.
Was she trying to riz you?
No, it wasn't that. If only it was that, I'll be like, okay, I know what this is. But you know what I mean? I'll be like, but no, thank you, but I get it. I get that. No, it wasn't that. It was just like staring like, what the fuck up?
Yeah.
It was that type of a vibe. I was like, it is too strong for me. I'm not the type of dude. You know what? Because I don't treat people like that. So fundamentally, it was like, I don't resonate with that. So based off the way I am or what I believe is right to do, that determined that experience. For all I know, she was that she could have been like, I was wondering when you're going to wake up and remember. And they were like, oh yeah, I remember who you are. And it could have been that.
But it just wasn't.
Because, and maybe it wouldn't. But certain experience can make you feel like they are bad experiences, but they're not. Because even that being, as I was saying, like, was like very pale and very tall, looked like a vampire. He wasn't bad. He wasn't good. He wasn't loving. He wasn't not loving. He was so neutral. Like you couldn't get any emotions. And I remember looking at his eyes and I saw he had what people often confuse as being blue eyes, but they were gray. And I said to him, oh, because my great granddad had these eyes. And I said, oh, you got gray eyes. And I know people like to say, yeah, these are blue eyes, but they ain't. And he was like, but he didn't give me much reactions. I was just talking, you know. But depending on how you perceive yourself, your identity, I guess, that shapes the way your experience is gonna be.
Yeah. So what about when you do have contact with things that you have been told about then? Like, and that's what leads me to tell the story about the reptilians, because I'd heard a lot of people speak about reptilians as, you know, good and bad. I've heard some people say there are good and there are bad ones. Like there are ones that aren't malevolent. They're just living their lives. That's the race they are. And then I've heard ones that are like straight up and down part of just like some BS. So I knew that there was a spectrum of them. Yeah. But then also my first like huge contact as far as like the reptilian contact was with the dragon.
All right.
Was my dragon remembrance. So
I personally never had an experience with reptilian contact that I can recall. So that for me, as far as I never did. But we're going to talk about what you just said now.
Which one do you want to talk about?
No, the one you say is interesting. I wanted to talk about the black people contact you had because I thought that was funny to talk about this eventually, but that might be for another time.
Which one do you want to talk about?
That one there, the reptilian as well, because it's very interesting. So yeah,
which one? The dragon one? Which just let me know, innit?
Let's talk about the dragon one.
All right, fine.
Were you going to talk about the dragon one?
I'll talk about any which one you want. Want me to?
You know what? No, you choose the most fitting to what we're talking about now. Who you meeting on the other side?
Who you meeting?
Yeah.
A lot of the time for me personally, these are meetings up of beings that already know who I am.
Okay.
Or know me. It's very rarely somebody who I'm unfamiliar with.
Okay.
And if they are people who I'm unfamiliar with, they let their intention be known. Or I quickly find out about it, what their intentions are. So that's been my experience. But when the dragon situation came around, that was very clear that I had known this being.
Have you ever been caught by surprise though?
All the time.
Even though, okay, because
I got caught by surprise by Rafi this morning, 2-year-old, like this morning. I get caught by surprise constantly.
Constantly, yeah.
So, yeah.
No, but I mean, this the one you are supposed to make contact with that knows you, that you know. And
yeah, I've been...
Or you have a sense... What I'm trying to say, okay, let me ask the question properly. Or have you had always a sense that I know you first?
Yeah, and I'll have that here as well. Okay. Like, I don't know how I know you, but I know you, and I feel that I know you, so let's roll with it.
Right.
That feeling is unmistakable for me, whether I'm here or over there, or wherever state of consciousness I'm in.
Yeah.
So it's like an inbuilt part of my discernment.
Right. Yeah, I understand.
So when I did have contact with this dragon, it was extremely like, it was, I know them, and they and it called me sister, and I knew it was my sister, and I knew we were bonded, and its head was bigger than my whole body as I was appearing, and I rested my head against where you would say its nose head area is, like forehead area. It's like we went third eye to third eye. And then I immediately got all of my downloads back about how I knew them, where I knew them. Blah, blah, blah. It was like a big hello. It was a big hello. It was a reunion.
Remembrance.
It was a remembrance. It was a recollection. It was, yeah, it was a reunion. It was like, hi, yeah.
So then my question is, at the time, were you going through something specific as far as what that took place, or it was just random to you?
I had told myself that I didn't want to go through too much because I was in a pregnancy, and that when I come out, I will deal with this spiritual thing again. That's how I took it. I was like, listen, don't lay on anything too deep. I'm trying to give birth here.
I understand, yeah.
That didn't, it was, I guess, it ramped right up afterwards, after I gave birth. But yeah, the contact with it never left. It just quietened down a bit, but it never left. And then by the time I had contact with the dragon beings, it was like, sister, it was such a beautiful reunion. And then she just gave, I went into the waters. I was in a violet place, and I went into the waters, and I immediately started by telling her I'm not getting in, because the waters were too dark and deep. And she laughed because she was like, wow, you've picked up some things, like things I never had before. Fears,
yeah.
She's like, wow, you picked up some things. But she chuckled at it like it's nothing. And she just accepted it and moved on and was like, okay. And then we went somewhere else together where I was more comfortable. And then I was able to do a lot of childhood recollection there. And that's where I was taught, like, or reminded of how I have always done childhood recollection, how it is done, what the process is, how to go through it, and how I was able to do that for myself so that I would put my own childhood recollection back together, which led to the knowing of what I share with the community about childhood recollection.
So let me ask you about the transition then from one place to another. Were you riding the dragon's back, or
no, not this time? I know that I've had lifetimes of dragon riders. Those downloads came through.
And what about this moment? These downloads came through, or
after this moment, once I woke up, yeah, it was like, oh, okay, so this must have been like the whole life. And I was like, no, it's like at least three incarnations or instances as dragon rider, being in that lineage, having the wisdom, being bonded with them, knowing what it is to live with them as one. One of the lives were in pretty much solitude, and I realized what part of me is very comfortable to be by myself and feel what loneliness is, but you're not alone.
Yes.
But the idea of loneliness.
You know, this is really funny because some of our cosmic origin explain why we feel that way.
Yeah.
So
That's why it shed a lot of light for that.
Yeah.
So that when I hear about dragons being very wise, and I look back on my own life here and I see why I was always interested in dragons, why I always kept, like, there was always something about a dragon around, even if I inadvertently didn't clock that there was a dragon. Like when I met you and we went on our first date, the top you had like 4 dragons on it. And I only clocked that because the other day I was watching a picture of it and I was like, you had 4 dragons right there in my face.
Just right there. Just waiting for you, babe.
Anyhow, but
just waiting for you to wake up.
Exactly. But these are the beautiful things that you can get to know. And this is when I started to call in a lot of my memories, and they started to, all of my cosmic memories, past life memories, whatever ones you want to call them, started to really flood in again. Though I'd been having them through childhood, just not knowing what to call them. But yeah, like that was one of them, and that was very wise, very, very wise beings.
Well, it's funny because when you say dragon and you associate that to the reptilians type, it's from the Draco family, right? A lot of assumption is reptilians are bad, and for a long time, dragons were labeled as being bad in movies, and that's usually how it's been presented.
Yeah.
As opposed to be very wise. And obviously some ancient culture always they talked about dragons as being very, very wise. So it's more in the West how we like to distort things sometimes, although there's ancient culture in the West, whether it's Celtic cultures, or they still carry the truth really about these beings.
Yeah, like the Merlin
lineage,
and the knowledge that us as millennials have. A lot of us are linked to we're called millennials, but it's for us to remember the millennial lineage.
Yeah.
And these are the many things that they were like showing me, like, clock that. And I was like, yeah, I see it.
I mean, I can confirm that through downloads that I had. I can confirm that a lot of things, words, roots, etymology, sounds that we are experiencing are here, so we can remember. Sometimes it's even combinations, and a lot of things I've been noticing now, and how important they are, down to everything you choose about your life from the start.
Yeah.
And why you choose that, so you can retrace back to where you're from,
and have your remembrance.
Yeah, and have your remembrance, and on a deeper level than just related to bloodlines only, because that would be actually a limitation in itself. We come into these vessels that are biological vessels, but they are a limitation in a way. They don't have to be, because they can be used in a way that you expand your experience and your consciousness. But
our misunderstanding of it and our miseducation of it has led us to believe that they are a limitation. And while they are, what part of them are limitation, are only used to be able to was meant to enhance our experience here, not to
hinder it,
be abusively hindering.
Yeah.
Though it has been augmented and mutated to be such. But that's that's the importance of the remembrance. That's the importance of the recollection. Of all of these parts of us that remain within our DNA, only to be activated.
Absolutely.
Literal key codes to be activated. And then that's what this return is. That's what this resurrection is. It's our own resurrection into our Christ consciousness, our God consciousness, our full DNA activation.
Well, yeah, because I'll compare our bodies as a astronaut outfit, if you will. If you're going to use it on, you're gonna go into an environment knowing how to use it to its best abilities, will only enhance the experience you're gonna have in this same said environment.
Yeah.
So I think there are tools essentially, and I think for making contact and anything like this, the more you learn how to use your body, the easier it becomes for you to make contact and then fine tune your vibration in order to be the matching frequency or certain beings.
But then I will say this, and I'm not saying it based on the fact that things aren't frequency and things aren't vibration, everything's energy, yeah. But in a more simplistic terms, so people can just get it. I've made contact in every which way. I've made it through meditation.
Mm-hmm.
I've made it through dream state. I've made it through OBE state.
Mm-hmm.
I've made it through lucid dream.
Mm-hmm.
And I've made it through hypnagogic state where you've dozed off and now you're in a conversation.
But if you think about it, it's actually great what you say right now, because you literally you're demonstrating basically the different dialing you can do, because all these states hold a different frequency. And within these states as well, within this frequency band, I would even say they hold different frequency band, because the way it feels when you're dreaming versus when you're astral projecting or even remote viewing, whatever you want to do, or out of body experience, they all have their own frequency width, and you can fine tune there, and that's all it is. Like you said, all of this is available to you. It's for you to fine tune to which one you want.
This is another thing as well. I didn't call to want any of these, so I just said I'm open. The same will be over there. Like I will meet that who I'm supposed to meet at the right time.
Well, it's true that when you want, I mean, the idea of wanting has kind of been a little bit vilified because how limiting it is. Although there's nothing wrong to want, and you're going to have an experience based on what you want, because if you really want something, you can get this experience. But I guess what you're saying is like, but you're going to only be limited to the thing you think you want, as opposed to be open to.
And that's what I was like. The reason why I stayed open is because I said, I'm only going to choose from the consciousness that I have now and the knowing that I've been given, which means whatever I've watched in the past or whatever I've heard about is the limit at which I will then move forward, because I'll make that command based on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not based on the vastness of what could happen.
Yeah, I resonate with what
if
you're
you
saying.
See what I'm saying.
Yeah, 100%.
And I've then been able to have contact with different beings in different spectrums with different forms as a result of that openness to it.
I mean, I totally get it. There's so much more stories and experiences you had.
Do you want me to share one of them? Because it's let's
no, because I think for today will be it. But we definitely gonna come back on this, and then
what in the Netflix cliffhanger is going on?
It is free, Shamal. It is absolutely 100% free. Come back next week. Thank you. Until then, go to pay for a subscription. God damn it. What the fuck? To sustain. Anyway, it's fine. We can share it.
I'll be quick about this one.
No, it's fine. That's why I'm up on these stories. I don't want them to be rushed. It's the lovely stories. However,
all right, no, I won't bother then.
Hang on. So, yeah.
How different cultures have dictated it. I'll go back to the one about the black people then.
Yeah, sure. And then actually we can continue that for the next episode. That'd be great.
Okay. So for a very long time, I will talk about the contact that I had with the humanoid black people. And I'm calling them black only because that's the humanoid closest to what they are, but they are not. They don't call themselves that. So, boom. What name did they give me? They didn't give me a name. They just assumed I knew them, and I knew them, and I was excited when I saw them. Not because it was like, ooh, black people. It was because like, oh my gosh, they're here. Oh my gosh. And all my memories started flowing back. So I'd just gone to sleep. It hadn't been a big deal. That previously that month, I know that we were looking a lot in Kenya and around Mount Kenya and those areas there, because we find those areas really, really beautiful. And I was talking to my guides, my higher self at the time, because I'm saying my guides, but at that time it was just my higher self. I was just like, yo, Shem, what are we saying about this place? Like, what's good? Like, why am I even drawn to this place? And then as a result of that, when I had my dream, I woke up and my dream was extremely lucid. But right now, I've not been in the business for a very long time of looking back, seeing if my body's there. If I touch things and I'm there and I've got my senses about me, that's good enough for me. I don't have to go back and forth and give everything a label. So I'll proceed. I woke up in the home that I knew that we were architected. That we know how to build, that we know how to, design. Mm-hmm. It was a home that we had built for ourselves in and around the Mount Kenya area. Mm-hmm. Okay. In Kenya.
Yes.
And we were sitting in what would be explained as our lounge, which was on an above level, a mezzanine level. Mm-hmm. Because we wanted the lounge to have a really great view of the mountain. Mm-hmm. And in front of me, I was talking to you early in the morning. I was drinking coffee. I could taste everything. I could feel the sofa. I can even go back there now. I could smell the coffee. I had all my senses available to me. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then out of the corner of my eye, I see something and I'm like, I turn around, I look out the window. Now, hold in mind, the window also had access to the whole of the terrace area that we could come out on. Mm-hmm. And as I looked, I saw a craft coming towards us. It was a craft like I hadn't seen before. So even if you're into anything like Stargate, Star Wars, Star Trek, anything like that, forget about it. Way more slicker, way more high tech, way more intuitive, way more natural, or an organic ship, way more in tune with the environment than that, pulled up. And as they pulled up, I was able to see through the glass of the place and then through the glass of the craft. And there were at least 5 crew members standing there like this, with like their hands crossed and in front of them. And they all had fades, shortcut fades. Mm. And they were all in the same uniform, which was like a skin-like uniform, which the fabric, I couldn't even tell you what fabric it is. All I know is that they were all physically fit. They were all optimum health. The skin was glowing. It was like they were all optimum health. They were all physically fit. They were all smiling at us like, you see us, we pulled up. And I was like, oh, babe, look. And as soon as you saw them, you turned around and saw them, I shouted out, kids, come, they're here. The kids ran up, all of them come. And before we knew it, they were out on the terrace. We'd opened the doors. They came and they were like, greeted us straight up. How is it going? Commander, how is it going? And immediately they let me know that we were on a mission, and that you and I were placed together for that mission, and that you were of like a commander. And they were looking at me like, how's it been with him? And I was like, well, you know how he is. And then they were like, Commander, it's like, you've been enjoying Earth. And they were like, 4 kids. That wasn't like, I was like, I know, but it's 4 kids, right? They're lovely. And they were like, they are. I've been talking to this one, I've been talking to that one. So it's like the kids already know who these people are as well. And I was telling them, oh, so would you like the new house? And they were like, yeah, it's like nice. Like, wow, this is really nice. I was like, it's Africa, you know what I mean? And they were like, yeah. And as the conversation unfolded, they were making jokes about how African Americans are going to have a really hard time getting their head around their identity, and this being Mother Africa, and then this being the final place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was like, this is it. That is it. This is all. This is once you're here, that's it. We're home. Boom.
No, that's only the beginning.
Not that it's just it's the beginning point.
Yeah.
Of the everything, of the point of true contact and remembrance, as far as what they are trying to remember or trying to awaken within themselves, or feel, or that stirring that they have, that's been awoken in a lot of them. And as they said that, they laughed, but not because they felt that they were stupid or looked down in them in any way. It was more, they're going to be so happy. What a wonderful thing to discover.
Yeah.
Like what a wonderful thing to discover. But a lot of them were shocked. What a lovely surprise.
Yeah.
To find out they get here and then it's just like a launch point. And as we were laughing and everything, we were just chatting like normal, like catching up. Because obviously there'd been contact that had been made before that they were telling me about. Remember this, remember that. Remember that time where it was that book, that was us with that book. And I was like, oh yeah, I remember. And I left that note. And but then there would be, okay, this is how things are going to roll out from here on out. And that's when I started getting too excited and losing more and more of my awareness there, and started to drift again and again and again. But before I did, I hugged one of them, and when I hugged them, they were like, oh wow, you're on earth. Because before, I guess the relationship that I'd had with them was never of that ilk where I'm going to hug you.
I can see why.
So that was the story. And it's the wonder of what we have. And I know that people will, I'm going to leave it there for this week, but I know that people have so much more. So if you are wondering about it and you're in the comment section and you've been wondering about this as well, we also have episodes with King Cassius about this, and soul lineage and soul heritage. And this doesn't have to be just for Black people, or just don't think about your color here, your lineage here. It's just the avatar. We are so much more than that. So,
no, you know what? You actually, it makes a lot of sense. It's probably why and feeling the hugs that much. Stranger. Anyway,
we will see you next time. We will continue this conversation, and as we deep dive into the dreams, the OBEs, the lucid dreaming, different forms of consciousness, and our cosmic lineages. All right, till next time. Ciao.
Ciao.